everyone is fascinated by looking at another human being. There's something very intimate about the ways that people assume that by looking at certain parts of the portrait, they'll be able to understand who these people are, where they come from, and why they happen to be in this museum today. In my work, I try to slow down and see individuals. I'm standing on the shoulders of all of those artists who came before me, but here there's a space for a new way of seeing black and brown bodies all over the world. A New Republic is an exhibition that allows for every single moment within my career, all of the different acts, all of the different bodies of work to be seen. What you get is a diversity of experiences, a picture of what Black American kids are up to, a picture of what the global story is with regards to how young people adorn themselves and celebrate and fall in love. It's really interesting to be able to look through the history of some of the great portraits and to say, what is it about the trappings of empire and power that we can use in the 21st century? What does it look like to be graceful? What does it look like to be proud, noble? How do you look at a young black man in American society? It's a very important question, especially at this moment in our culture. The way in which the body is seen has a lot to do with light. How does the artist choose to allow light to flow across the body? For the last 10 years, I've been obsessed with stained glass. What I wanted to do was to create a body of work in which empathy and the language of the religious and the rapturous all collided into one space. Black women have always been at the core of my thinking around portraiture. You see so many portraits where the male figure stands dominant at the forefront of the painting, and women and children and land are seen in equal measure as possessions. In my own work, the women are strident, they take the front. But there's also a sense of mystery. We don't really know who these women are. Bound is a sculptural project that looks at the presence of black women, all of those women that raised me, the graceful women who've been in my life over the years, but also the ways in which black American women adorn themselves as both a type of communication act and armor. And hair is principal within that. You see hair going outside of itself, becoming so fabulous, so extraordinarily large that it folds in under its own weight. It's beauty that becomes decay. It's a place in which the imagination starts to happen. The Brooklyn Museum is extraordinarily important for me. I remember having my first exhibition here. Being able to celebrate this moment in a place like Brooklyn, where so many of the people who are in these paintings come from, is an incredible blessing. In some sense, what I'm trying to do is to come to terms with the ways in which Black American culture has been beamed out into the rest of the world. And that is a type of new republic.
Now, can you tell me, out of this picture I'm going to show you, which one of those things are different? Are you ready? And before I go on, these are all portraits of United States presidents, official portraits in the US Presidential Portrait Gallery there in the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. So one of these portraits is slightly different. Can you tell which one it is?
One of these things is not like the others. One of these things doesn't belong. Can you tell?
It's that one. Isn't that one there?
Not like the other.
Yeah.
Half the time.
It's that one there. Of course, there was just a little bit of Sesame Street in there in the background. It's actually this portrait here, which is the newly unveiled portrait there of Barack Obama. A lot of people, it's getting a lot of criticism. This is a very short video. I'm not going to go into this too much. But he's getting a lot of criticism there for it being seemingly quite odd, because it's such a serious role, of course, the presidency of the United States, and that is the portrait of Obama that's going to be in the gallery. Now, hey, whatever, I guess you get to choose your own portraits there in the National Portrait Gallery. But what's interesting about this is the background of this artist right here. Very odd background there. Some people are saying that he's racist. Why are they saying he's racist? Well, let's jump over to the Washington Times article here. And you've got this. Well, Washington Times is quite a respected publication. Barack Obama's portrait artist, don't know how to say his first name, Wiley, painted black women beheading white women. So as you can see there is one example of that. There are more. If we go down a little, well, that doesn't seem to show it. Press click read more. read more down here. Here it is. So there is one portrait there, and this is in the Virginia Museum of Fine Art. Shows a African American woman there in classic black Stepolitan from the 1970s garb, kind of that kind of powerful African American woman severing the head of this Caucasian woman. Now let's go down a little bit further. Oh, it seems it's not like a singular event. Here's another one. Another severing of the head here. Well, it looks like some kind of African princess or queen. It got like a little tiara or some kind of thing on the head, severing this woman's head with a knife. So there is the actual strange background of the artist that Barack Obama chose to paint his painting. Of course, there is a lot more to that. But another little oddity here about this artist, which we'll point out very quickly. This is if we jump over to the Gateway Pundit here, reading from the Gateway Pundit. Researchers noticed this oddity to the portrait itself, and you see these replications here. Well, these are exact mirror replications here, not mirrors, sorry, that would make them backwards. They're actually exact replicas of the same thing. So where is this technique used? If you had to guess, where would you say this technique of replication in paintings is used? Well, it's used by Chinese labor painters, as the Gateway Pundit says, and if you do a little bit of research, you can see that this is a technique used by Chinese labor painters to replicate things. So, if an art expert was looking at paintings, he would be able to tell, or she would be able to tell, where it originated just on this replication technique, which seems specific to Chinese labor workers and also specific of more low-end artwork, mass-produced, because these Chinese labor workers are used to mass-producing lots of artwork, landscapes, things like that, and this technique stays with them even when they're doing things like this, so you can see it in their work. So you might think, well, but the artist themselves is an American. Well, yes, but ask yourself, where are they based? Because this is in the hands of someone that's standing there with a little brush actually painting each thing. You don't paint the exact same things. Well, the artist is actually based in Beijing. So they've been living in Beijing for quite a while, since 2006. Because why? Because the artist says it's cheaper for them to find labor out there. The fact is these paintings are probably created by Chinese labor artists, not actually by this artist themselves.
Very fish, it's still the 12th of February, 2018, and I started to look into these portraits of the Obamas that were unveiled today at the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C., and I didn't get too far. But what I wanted to look into actually was the painter, the artist, right? So I actually did start looking in on him a little bit. I didn't get too far, and I had to do some stuff. And I come back, and Miss Sadie Hastings YouTube sent me a beautiful message to inform me that she found an article on this website here called Red State Watcher, which I never go here, but on here, and we look here, well, look what we learned about the painter who painted Obama's portrait. And now my browser, of course, is sticking and hanging up, and everything's going to fail on me now. But anyway, he links some Twitter feeds here, and one of them's Joe Biggs, used to be on InfoWars. So I'll give these guys kudos for getting this out there. But this guy also loves to do portraits of women, primarily black women, dressed in all kinds of gold and scarlet, chopping off the heads of white women. I guess that's one of his favorite things to paint. This fellow here who likes to hold his hands in a strange Masonic type of manner there, So he loves to paint black women with crowns and gold and scarlet and everything, chopping off the heads of primarily white women. So I thought that was something I couldn't just go have supper without sharing with you real quick. So that's a good way to start off this little conversation about our ex-president 44. So there you have it, y'all. You have a good night. Seek Jesus if you don't know him. It's a perfect night for it. Peace and grace to you. Many fish.
Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord, and in the power of his might. Put on the whole armour of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherefore take unto you the whole armour of God,